Welcome to Bonehead Weekly, and it's about to get. Oh, I don't want to use the
Sticky.
icky's a good icky. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
It's
didn't
about. It
say
could be the
icky.
icky sticky.
I
N-
said sticky.
I thought you said icky.
No, I said sticky.
It could be icky though.
Well, sticky, icky comes with sticky.
No, the icky sticky is what I will partake in as soon as we're done here, gentlemen.
Can I
What
come
is
over?
our topic, huh?
Can I come over?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Well, you could stand about 8 feet that way because you
Oh
got the
man.
cooties. Get downwind of me
I've already
now.
licked all your toilet seats. Isn't that how that works?
I
Oddly enough, I went behind you. Turns out
uh,
Chad missed spots.
so many concerns.
Oh
Missed
God.
some spots there, Chad. Yeah. So tonight's topic was James's idea, and clearly James won't look up from his looky papers.
No, sorry, I was checking something. So yes, our topic this week is there's all sorts of creatures in pop culture, right? You've got your demons, you got your just in honor of Chad, your skeletons that are walking
Technically, he
around.
could say horses because he just said creatures. I mean, that they could
Yeah,
have all
you got
said a box
horses,
turtle, but you had to
you
go
got
with demons.
elephants. You got, I don't know. My point is, but we're going to do an entire episode about creatures. Did Chad just disappear? Did you wish Chad into the cornfield?
He says, "I thought we were doing an episode about slime."
We are. Did you wish Chad into the cornfield?
Yes.
Oh, could you wish me into the cornfield? I got a lot going
No, he
on.
said he had to go back. He's go. So we'll
Oh, I'm
pause for a
sorry.
second.
I'm sorry. I didn't see that. Did he put it in the chat? I
No,
didn't.
he just did this. Now he's back.
Oh.
I don't think I'm going to cut any of this. I think I'm just
No,
going
leave it.
to.
I think people need to. We need to do a raw feed episode. You need to stop editing this stuff and to
I
make
know. I
people
think I'll
know.
just leave it in.
You need to make people know the hell that is this show.
Now, hold
Oh,
on. You said creatures. I thought we were doing movies about slime.
I thought that's what
slime.
we
No,
were doing
no.
too.
Okay. So
I
I was
said
about to
slime
say, I'm
creatures, but
no,
absolutely movies
So
about slime. I'm doing my thought. What I will be talking about are creatures, slime creatures. But yes,
that
you're
narrows
right.
it down.
The top, yeah, yeah. There's only so many slime creatures.
yeah, I'm not doing that.
No, but so the topic is
Oddly enough, I do have some slime creatures on here. I'll tell you something in a second. Keep going.
anyway. So slime in popular culture is the theme of the episode
Yeah.
because oddly enough, if anybody was going to do Ghostbusters, I'm going to say up front,
Nope.
everybody knows slime from Ghostbusters, but there have
And
been,
Ghostbusters 2
and
and
there have,
Ghostbusters Afterlife.
and matter of fact, if you just Google slime, it's not going to even bring that up. You're going to get a ton of pages about Dungeons and Dragons, which also started a slime trend before even Ghostbusters and stuff like that. Anyway, so slime has been part of pop culture for a long time.
Can
Now,
I add?
Ghostbusters did make slime a verb, though, right?
Yes, yes, guys, slimy. But may I add, we're gentlemen of an age where we watch slime just come right into pop culture physically. One of my
Mhm.
favorite things on earth is when we went to the grocery store is if I could get a quarter or 50 cents so I could get that little thing of slime at the end.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Whether it be for my Ghostbuster toys or I had the slime pit. You guys remember the
From
slime pit
He-Man?
from He-Man? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know for our audio listeners, they can't see it, but I have the Super 7 Ultimate figures in a display case behind me. My favorite Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle action figure was Muckman. And the reason why I love Muckman is Muckman had a hole in the top of his head where you could buy special Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle slime that you would pour into his head and it would ooze out the rest of his body.
Yeah.
I
Hey,
preferred Metalhead because he had a hole in his head where you could put light behind it and his eyes glowed.
James, if you look in the lower right hand corner,
Oh,
there's
I know.
Metalhead.
No,
well, we
Metalhead was one of my favorite. I had action figure wise from Ninja Turtles. I didn't have many of them because I was poor. But I had Michelangelo and Metalhead, and those were the
Yeah.
two that I was like, I've got to have those.
we have Michelangelo, but back to Muckfuck. I just wanted to say it.
Mm-hmm.
That's
By the
it.
way, I think
But I
Joe,
do have
you
something
just
else to add
I,
about
I do
slime.
think Joe, you actually just made your name in the adult film industry. If that's not been made yet, I don't know how you're going to sexualize slime, but if anybody
Well,
can
I'm
find a
behind
way,
the camera.
sir, you.
Well, and,
Mugfuck is behind the camera.
well,
He's talent behind the camera.
and that was the whole thing is now you have kids today that
Is he? How
the
did he go from porn to kids?
well no
Damn,
because I'm
Chad.
because this is what I'm getting about slime is because slime as kids now like they have slime kits where you make slime and you can just make
Oh
slime at
man.
home. We had to go to the vending machines or buy it in the stuff and I mean
If you're a rich guy, and I think I only ever had one, you could get the official Ghostbusters ectoplasm, and then they re-released it a few years ago, and I never
Mhm.
did get any of it the second time around. But you could get it in an actual container. Remember, guys?
yeah
Mhm.
I never got it
No, I didn't either.
I don't. I may have had one, maybe. I'm
I
not for
mean,
sure.
I didn't get a proton pack till I was in my, early 40s. So it's been a long road
Yeah,
getting from there to here.
yeah, I see that. All right, boys. We just give them. I'm glad we gave them a little bit of history though, because if you're listening to this and you're 20, you're not our demographic. But
right
But thank you for listening.
thank
God
you for
bless you.
listening. It
Or
was a thing, and it was all over television. Not only, I mean, let's see, He-Man, Ghostbusters. There's several others. There's tons of slime. Different
oh yeah. Well, and
Toxic
now
Avengers
Toxic
yeah,
Avengers.
yeah, and it was and obviously Ghostbusters. You had Slimer, and then Slimer. I don't know if you all remember this, but I love the duality of this. There was a Slimer toothpaste, and then there was
hmm
a Slimer candy that came in a toothpaste type tube.
I
yep
had them both. Well,
yeah me
actually, I
too
never remember having the toothpaste. I just remember the candy.
No, I had the toothpaste. Like that was one of the things, and it was. I think it's because it's when it went on clearance. I'm sure it's
Oh
why I
yeah, it
got
was
the
a Big Lot
toothpaste.
special.
Yeah, yeah. So, but I just remember both of them. I'm actually, uh, we went camping once, and the little country store before you went into the camping area had the candy, and I was like, "That's what I want. That's what I want. That's what I want." So yes, yes. So it became part of. I mean, it wasn't just the toys; it was candy slime. It
Mm-hmm.
was anything that would look gross, and even for Ninja Turtles, the ooze, and
Yeah.
then they made the ooze pudding pie, the
Mm-hmm.
Hostess
yeah
Ninja Turtle, and they were filled with green
which was just
ooze, which was
vanilla
vanilla
It's just as,
custard.
but
Yeah.
it was vanilla custard, yeah, and it was green. And and I've talked about him on here before. It's a guy I follow on social media just because I love the pictures he shows because he always digs something up. I bet he shows. It's called Dinosaur Dracula,
Hmm.
and I bet
I love
Dinosaur
dinosaur.
Dracula. I do too. He shares that at least once every other month.
Yeah.
He somehow works into one of those Hostess ooze pies. All
Hmm.
right, who wants to get started?
I I can
Yeah.
I've
Go ahead,
got a
Chad.
bunch.
I'll go first and I got to go with the tried and true classic film everybody loves. It's in everybody's heart. I know it's one of Joe's classics.
Raymond.
Yeah. Other also known as Garbage Pail Kids.
That's not on a lot of the lists, and it
Uh,
probably should be.
there's a lot of slime in the film. I
Yeah.
mean, it just as soon as they drop off the God, tip over the garbage can, all that green slime comes out, and then you talk about the top two. You have not only you have Messy Tessie, who
Sorry. It's just hard to say their names.
uh, who is just covered in snot constantly. And then this is the one that I meant to look up and I didn't have a chance to. The one who vomits and she vomits up green slime all over everybody. I mean, there isn't a scene where somebody isn't covered in slime. And of course, then you have Foul Phil, the little baby who is always drooling out slime.
Mhm.
I mean, there is slime left and right in that film. I mean, it made me want. That's why I love that film so much. And the cool part is, like when they're putting together the dresses, Messy Tessie is using the slime from her snot to put together the rhinestones all over this.
It is
I gotta go
one.
back.
It is such a terrible movie. The
It
opening
is.
credits of that are like 15 minutes.
It is. And it's like supposed to. It's kind of like Star Wars.
It's a little bit. It makes oh, it's right up there, man. Was it's
I know
I'll tell you what, Howard the Duck's better than that. If I had
I
to sit down, I'd pick Howard the Duck.
I haven't seen Garbage Pail Kids in over a decade, so I cannot tell you that. Have you seen it in over a decade,
It
Joe?
was several years ago, but I didn't make it through it.
Man, I honestly would
It's
probably have.
been a long time, Chad. Whether it was a decade or 5 years, I'm in my 40s. It all means the same thing to me.
Valerie Vomit. I knew I couldn't remember. It was Valerie Vomit.
I dated
You're
her.
probably
I
right.
dated a Valerie
I
Bob. I did
dated a
not.
Valerie. I did.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, there you go. And vomit. So there you go.
You're right. Honestly, Joe, I hate to agree with you, but you're probably right.
Well,
That is that the Garbage Pail Kids movie is almost unwatchable, but I watched it repeatedly as a kid, and for the life of me, I don't understand. Oh my God, do you know who played Greaser Greg in Garbage Pail Kids? I just looked it up.
Robert Downey Jr.
No, Phil Fondacaro.
Oh, who's going to be at the Scarefest?
I need to get that poster.
Yeah, you do. And you need to sign it.
Oh,
Walk up to that fucker with your staff badge.
yeah.
They sign this bitch.
Uh,
All right.
I did.
Is it my
Yes,
turn?
that was my first pick. I thought we'd start off on a whammy.
Oh, I've got
No
so
whammies.
many.
No whammies. No whammies. Oh, sorry.
So the last 2 or 3 times has been like, I don't know what you're talking about, Joe. You suck. I've got 52 picks for this. And then James sent that and I was like, you fucking assholes. I've got 6,000. And then I started researching it. And then couldn't narrow it down because I wanted to put it in categories like 90s, early 80s, 70s, 80s direct to video. Do you see how well I could do all this? It's so messed up. But I think the one I want to go with is it technically a remake? And it is, James, like it is a creature, but this is one of those where the remake is a much better movie. I still stand back behind
Well, hold
this.
on. You said
Better.
technically is a remake. Is it actually a remake?
Yeah, it is a remake. Okay, so
Okay.
it's late. It is a remake, but this is one where I think the remake is much better than the original. I'm talking about Chuck Russell's 88, The Blob.
Yeah, I was thinking, and so that was one I was going to bring up. I was going to bring up the
I
Steve
have critiques
McQueen.
of it, but
Well, I
we'll
was going
get
to say
to
I
it
was
because,
going to bring up.
James is talking on my topic. What'd you say?
No, I was going to bring up the Steve McQueen one, and I honestly, I think what's funny now, and I can't remember how the Chuck Russell one ends, so you'll have to forgive me.
I'll
Is it
tell
the
you in a second.
same ending as the Steve McQueen? Because the Steve
Well,
McQueen
they
ending
they
is now
freeze it
more.
both ways. Are you talking about how they take out the blob
Yeah, because
or
at
the
the end of it,
actual last scene?
they drop him into the Arctic, right? In the end of the Steve McQueen blob. I
Yeah,
don't know who directed that. It's not Steve
they
McQueen.
use a snow machine truck. Yes.
Okay, well, because in the Steve McQueen one, it ends with the line, um, "Oh, it will be completely safe," and the last line is, as long as the Arctic stays cold.
Yeah.
So now you could do a great sequel about global warming with the blob coming back.
Well, you could, but and I actually
And
don't
we'll write it right now. We'll write that.
I don't mind the original. I'll let James segue into this. Actually, I like the movie. It's a decent performance for Steve McQueen. In fact, the original has Steve McQueen, whereas Chuck Russell's has Kevin Dillon. And let's just be real here. Kevin Dillon completely miscast in this movie. Does not carry it in any way, shape, or form. Go back and watch it. He's awful in it. A couple of the other people are awful too, but one or two of them I've actually met on the con circuit, so I don't want to be. But there's some great character actors in it. It is well written. Is written by Frank Darabont and Chuck Russell, the same ones that wrote Nightmare on Elm Street 3. Frank Darabont went on to do The Green Mile, Shawshank Redemption, considered at one time one of Hollywood's best screenwriters. It was not a huge success. TriStar put a lot of money behind it. They changed a lot of things with it. It was no longer from space. It was some sort of government creature. And it kind of, do you all remember the ending to it? It actually, after they freeze the blob, it has a dystopian ending.
I don't remember
I
anything
haven't.
about the blob.
I have not seen
The
remake in
preacher
so long.
who is through it and who's trying to stop it from getting killed or hurt because he's kind of worships it, steals a piece of it. And he's doing a church revival talking about the end of the world, back to what James was talking about, dystopian. And then we go to the back of the tent and a part of it's moving in the jar, ready to go.
Hmm.
It's one of those, the special effects in some parts of it and the other parts of it are kind of dated, but the movie theater scene, that blob kills kids. takes out a guy that talks during a movie. There's a lot of kids killed in this movie. I don't know if you all remember that or not.
I really don't
I
remember anything about
I
it.
don't remember the remake at all. I'll be
There are
honest.
so
I've only
many.
seen it once
It
when
is
I was really young.
ballsy in a way that I don't think most people remember. It's well written. Once again, has a ton of great character actors, and it's just the leads. It didn't work. I think if you haven't seen it in a long time, you should go back and check it out. There's some really good scenes. There's a fantastic scene with a guy screaming as he's being eaten alive by the blob.
Yeah,
Just
I
check
remember
it.
that scene.
Yeah, and it's in a lot of the trailers, and it ended up on. Go back if you haven't seen it in a long time. I actually didn't look to see where it was streaming at. Check it out. Not a terrible movie,
I
James.
don't think it is streaming.
The so I was I'm glad Joe started with the Blob because I was thinking about
Oh,
that.
it is streaming on Tubi.
Yeah.
I was thinking about the Steve McQueen Blob, but since we've already talked about that Blob, I'll go with the other Blob that's obviously a parody of that Blob, and that would be Bob from Monsters versus Aliens,
Yeah.
voiced by Seth Rogen. Do you remember the origin of Bob?
Yes.
I just watched the movie the other day. Well, the kid was watching it again about a month ago, and I don't remember.
He is a gelatinous mass created when a tomato was injected with a genetically modified ranch flavored dessert topping. And he gains sentience, but he doesn't have a brain. So,
Yeah.
um,
Is it bad that that's like if you asked me to rank my favorite DreamWorks films, that's number one.
well, I hear so. I was gonna actually. I'm glad you said
The
that, Chad,
Halloween
because
special is actually
of
is better than the movie.
of all the DreamWorks
Mm,
movies
It's
that
pretty
have
good.
gotten sequels.
why
I'm
hasn't
looking
that
at you.
one?
I'm looking at you, Madagascar. That's the one I wanted the sequel to the most.
Yeah.
Megamind didn't get one.
Yes, it did. It was directed to NBC Peacock. You can
Oh,
go watch it right now.
okay.
Monsters vs. Alien. Now it's by the way, it's
Yeah,
not
you
very good.
dick.
It's not very good, and it doesn't bring back Will Ferrell as the voice or anything. But it did technically get a
That
sequel. It
that
was
last
direct to Peacock,
Oh
the
yeah,
last
but that it just came out this year. It's Joe.
and
It's
then
terrible.
it got an animated series spinoff. But they used the sequel
I
to
don't
launch.
care that much for Megamind anyway. There's
No,
something Will Ferrell as an animated voice that doesn't work for me, but Will Ferrell and Anchorman totally does. I can't tell you what that is, but it doesn't. I don't know.
but honestly, it's just the entire cast of
Hugh Laurie.
Hugh Laurie, Seth Rogen, Reese Witherspoon, Will Arnett, Rainn Wilson, Amy Poehler. It's it's a stacked and I
Kiefer
love
Sutherland is the Colonel, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
and I
Or the
went
General.
I went and saw it in theaters when it came out. I've watched it on we've had it
Yeah.
on DVD because of the kids, and I that's the one I
The whole
wish would have been a sequel.
the whole scene with the Jello. I mean,
Well,
where he's in love with the thing of Jello.
It's
well,
been a while. I've got to go
the
back and watch
moth,
it.
the entire moth thing, or the caterpillar that, of course,
Yeah.
becomes there. Yeah, that's I mean, the allusions to all the different types of horror films, classic horror films that built it. Obviously, Bob being the slime creature one. Um, yeah, it completely works for me, and yeah.
All right.
So yeah. So Bob though is the slime
Yeah.
creature in the film, and he, much like the Blob, whatever he absorbs, he dissolves.
Yeah.
Guys, when we talk about slime, so Garbage Pail Kids, the movie came up. You know what else came up?
What?
I know, and we've beat this movie like a dead horse, but I have to mention this when we talk about slime. Ghoulies 2.
So yes.
You better not badmouth this.
No. Do you mind if can I pair another 80s direct to video sequel with it?
Hold on. Let me do to you what you just did to James. Oh yeah, go ahead and talk over my pig. I don't care.
No, I'm asking you a question. I'm serious.
Yeah, I don't care.
Well, do you think that's slimier or is it Troll 2?
Oh no, Troll 2 is by far slimier than Ghoulies 2, but I still love the scene where the assholes are going through the fun house and the ghoulie just spits that slimy snot all over them while they're making out.
It's been a
and
minute.
it's all going down their face, and then they have to come out of the funhouse, meld it to one another. You don't remember this scene at
It's
all?
been a
Jim?
minute. The whole
Oh,
time you're
man.
talking, I was thinking this asshole's going for like a Phil DeCarlo
No.
trifecta.
Well, then when I went to Gardensville, I didn't know Phil Fondacaro was in one of the
Fondacar, I'm
scenes.
sorry. Well, the whole time you were talking, I was like, I should be listening, but this fucker right here, this asshole's trying to
I'm
do.
not. I'm not going for a trifecta on Phil
Uh-huh.
Fondacaro, but if I could, I would.
If you
I could.
should,
Technically, I could.
you probably should.
Maybe I will.
You've got
But
nothing left.
I know I'm dead inside. Um, but yeah, the whole scene, there is one of the ghoulies that spits slime, and he always is drooling it out of his chin. And the now it's not the slimiest film out of all the ones, and definitely when I talked about slimiest, I saved my slimiest for for my third pick. But just that one scene where he spits all over the assholes of the movie, and they come out just completely melded together. That is ingrained in my head. So yeah, I had to mention that as my second pick.
Okay.
Who's next?
I think it's me.
Yep.
And what?
It's good.
So I'm having a tough time with this, but I think instead of doing my Creature from Another World double feature, I'm going to start talking about television a little bit. Has anybody got a television show?
No, I was trying to think of a slimy television show.
You
and I
can't
couldn't
do
think
that
of
on
one.
television.
Yep.
Nickelodeon.
I mean that
Came out in
popularized.
82.
Yep, that popularized slime in another way to
It
the point.
popularized with Barf, who was the one who gave out the food at the lunch. It popularized slime to kids before anything else in some sort of accessible, not bad language. You couldn't go see, man. See, every time I want to say something, you couldn't. So the two movies I really want to talk about, but I think this is more important, is be like The Thing and Alien, because they both use so much KY jelly as slime. And I was thinking The Thing, and I was like, no, you're not giving enough credit to Alien. But it's really, you can't do that on television. I can't find another thing when I was trying to look it up today, and I went on this deep dive of where there was that much slime on readily accessible for kids to watch. That was just to be gross. There's nothing really funny about it. It's just to be gross.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I watched it as a kid.
The only thing I
remember it well.
And
Nope,
it wasn't
just
on
don't
Nickelodeon.
say I don't know.
What was it on?
What?
It wasn't on Nickelodeon. What was it on?
Well, no, I was going to say something and got interrupted. The only slime that I liked, and it wasn't on Nickelodeon at the time, but it got moved. It was when Double Dare before it got moved to Nickelodeon. Because it had slime on the show.
Double Dare wasn't on Nickelodeon?
No, not at first. It was on regular syndication.
Huh.
That's how I got to watch it. And then they moved it to Nickelodeon, and I was pissed.
So are you saying you can't? So you can't do it on television on Nickelodeon, or was that something else? And
No.
then I'm just thinking
All of that was on Nickelodeon. Just Double Dare was a regular syndicated show.
Yeah.
And then it got canceled off regular syndication, and then Nickelodeon picked it up and put it on their cable network.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. That's how I got to watch it, because I always wanted to pick the nose, guys.
I
Shocker.
actually don't remember anything about it. I remember that there's games played, and that's about it.
Well,
Just like
Double Dare, in the obstacle course, one of the things was you had to stick your fingers up the nose, your hands up the nose, and get through the slime to find the flag, and then move on.
Okay, I remember the flags. Now that you brought up the flags, I used to watch the flags. But that being said, I don't really remember that much about you can't do that on television other than the cook named Barf.
And
You
Alanis
all?
Morissette.
I never watched any of the Nickelodeon shows other than the animated shows, because I hated I never once thought the live action shows were a bit funny.
You pompous fuck. Who's next? I just wanted real quick. I mean, we have to talk if we're talking about slime and pop culture.
Yeah.
As James says, we got to.
Yeah,
Of course,
right.
what's funny is the funniest scene is when in my mind, when you think of Nickelodeon slime, the thing that pops up to me, of course, is the Katy Perry slime incident where she just got blasted.
I'd have to go look it up. I don't
You,
know.
yeah,
All right,
kinda,
James.
it's
So
kind of hot.
I
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
Chad, you're not supposed to like her anymore because she worked with that one guy that was involved with the Kesha incident.
Oh man,
Anyway, um, I'm going to talk about, so as you all may know, I am a little bit of a classic science fiction author nerd.
No.
And one of those classic science fiction authors that the youth today, the youths, Joe,
Yeah.
don't know enough about is the great Theodore Sturgeon. Now, Theodore Sturgeon, for Star Trek fans, pretty much create a lot of what we now take for granted if you're a Star Trek fan. But the Vulcan, like the Vulcan
Yeah.
salute, all of that stuff. Amok Time,
Mhm.
the famous, where we even get the famous Star Trek fight theme. He
Dun,
wrote,
dun, dun, dun,
yep,
dun.
yep. He also wrote Shore Leave for the original series, but none of those involve slime. Um, I do want to say, by the way, have y'all ever heard of Sturgeon's Law for science
Plays?
fiction? No, no. Sturgeon's Law of science fiction.
I clearly think by our faces you already know the answer to this.
no,
Here's Sturgeon's Law. He
I found
coined
out.
this
Go ahead.
he coined
No,
this in
cut him off.
1957. 90% of science fiction is crud. But then again, 90% of everything is crud. So
It's true.
when people would critique science fiction, he'd be like, "Yeah, 90% of it's bad, but so is 90% of everything." But anyway, I wanted to talk about his great. It's technically not even science fiction; it's horror. He wrote a horror story that was first published in Unknown in August of 1940. And Chad, see if this plot line sounds familiar to
Go
you.
for it.
The story deals with a slime-based muck monster that emerges from a swamp and terrorizes people nearby. The creature has no emotions initially and actually is not meant to be attacking people. It is just curious about how these other creatures work. So he starts to grab animals and people and take them apart to see how they function. He was later credited somewhat late
Huh.
as being the story inspired many similar characters in comic books, including both Swamp Thing
Thing
and Man Thing.
Huh.
Came out in 1940. Later on, it was published first in Unknown, which was a big horror science fiction magazine of the 1940s, and later on, it was hailed as quote probably the most unforgettable story ever published in Unknown. And it is literally and so of course you think it's this horrific being, but you eventually realize it's not meaning to do harm. It just can't figure out how these other creatures exist because it's not doing it to be malicious. It doesn't understand how the human body, how these mammals, how these insects, how they work. So the only thing it knows to do to learn is to take them apart and
No
look at what makes them
disassemble.
function. Yeah, pretty much. Except it's pro disassemble. Anyway,
No disassemble.
so if you've never read it, not to be confused with Stephen King's It, Theodore Sturgeon's It, it was also published in his collection Without Sorcery, which was published his first short story collection. Without Sorcery was published in 1948. It has been republished since then. If you've never read any Theodore Sturgeon outside of seeing some of the, because he wrote a ton of screenplays for different television series as well, he's the one that they also asked to write the novelization of one of those sea voyage movies, science fiction movies. I forget which one.
Let's just say Fantastic Voyage, which has nothing to
That's
do with the
not
sea.
the sea. No, no, I don't think you have seen that.
Oh, that was a stretch.
Read it. I got
That's it. That's it. The hood's coming
That
on.
is it. That is it. I was
All
talking
right,
about
Chad.
it. Good
What's
call,
your
Chad.
pick?
My
Go
hood's
get
on.
him 8 minute.
8 Mile.
There's no miles there.
Oh, hold on, my headphone fell out. Son of a gun.
8 seconds.
I'm not Luke Perry.
You two
I
pump
never will
chump.
be. So, Joe mentioned, you mentioned The Thing and Alien earlier.
Yes.
Both films that utilize slime.
Yes.
Neither one of those movies, the use of slime actually freaked me out.
Okay.
This movie did, and it actually wasn't used with an overabundance of slime, but the way the slime was utilized and the look of it creeped me the hell out. So this is why this is my last pick. I have to talk about Poltergeist.
You said Poultrygeist or Poltergeist?
Poltergeist.
Okay, it's on my list too.
Yeah. The scene where they finally come out of
Hmm.
wherever the hell they're coming out of.
They're basically birthed.
They're birthed, yeah, and they're covered in that pink plus, slime
Placenta, yeah, or whatever it's
placenta. I was
called.
going to say it, but I didn't know. It is absolutely revolting to me for some reason. I
Hmm.
don't know why.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It stuck with me as a kid.
Yeah, it did me too, man. And when they're pulling on that rope and it all starts coming out, the rope's clean and then it's
Hmm.
just coming out all grimy, kind of like an umbilical cord
Or ectoplasm.
or ecto. Yeah, I mean that's what it's supposed to be is
Yeah.
ectoplasm, but it just is nasty. And I was grossed out through the whole thing. I have no explanation for it because the movie itself doesn't scare me. It never did.
Really? I
Yeah,
mean, I don't know about scared. Well, it's a
the
pretty,
only scene that ever creeped me out was the guy ripping his face off.
yeah.
But
It's a
but
really
the
good haunted house movie. There's
but the
not much
slime,
better.
but it never creeped me out.
Hmm.
It never did. Poltergeist 2 now, that fucked with me.
That actor is really good and
Yeah,
unfortunately died of cancer.
yeah. You would have never thought to look at him.
Too soon.
uh but yeah, no, the slime in Poltergeist 2, just that clumpy, goopy, pink slime is absolutely revolting to me. And that's why I had to make that my last pick.
Okay.
Go for it, guys.
My last pick. Oh God, I have so many. I can't believe you didn't say one, Chad. I want to say it, but we'll talk
Say
about it
it.
in honorable
Yeah,
mentions.
I mean, I have one honorable mention.
So the slimiest maybe movie ever made, or at least one of them, because I was trying to go back and forth between gore, blood, wet, and slime.
Because I didn't think blood was slime, so that's why I never
I,
picked
s-
any.
I left a lot of stuff off. Mine is going to be, and I had to look it up, and you can actually watch it on Tubi, and it's been a while since I've seen it. I've only actually ever watched it once, but it is probably one of the slimiest movies I ever met or ever seen, and it's 1987 Street Trash. Have
That
either
was
one of
my
you ever seen it?
dude. I did a whole segment on it.
We did? I can't remember.
I did.
Okay. Street Trash is slimy as hell.
Yeah,
Basically, bums find this liquor that turns them into
Flop.
slimy
yeah.
creature
We're
monster
getting a
things.
remake this year.
But I was going back and forth, and that's the one I'm going to go because I was trying to think of what's more slime. And there's to follow that up.
That's my
If
honorable mention, by the way, was Street Trash, so I don't have to talk anymore. Yay.
to follow that up, there is a YouTube, and and if you ask me about it later, that actually video. And I thought I wrote down who did it and give them credit, and I didn't. I'm so sorry. But if you're listening to this and want to, there is a 3-minute YouTube video that somebody put together of slime from like the 60s all the way through 2000s, which is
Yeah.
fantastic. And if you get a shot, check it out. But the reason I was really shocked that Chad didn't do Troll 2 is just because it's slimy. I forgot
Yeah.
how slimy it was, but it makes a lot on the highlight reel of that particular video.
Yeah. I mean, it's just all
More than
about
Street Trash.
yeah. I mean, but at the same time, in my opinion, the Street Trash slime scenes are way more uh,
Disgusting.
disgusting and effective than Troll 2. And Troll 2, we talk,
I've actually
in
never
turn,
seen all of it.
I have. And in terms of entertainment, of how bad the movies are. Garbage Pail Kids is more viewable than Trolls 2.
Probably. I can't argue with you because I haven't watched either one of them. And I swear to, I don't think I've ever actually seen all of Troll 2.
Yeah,
I've
I
seen the
watched Trolls.
documentary about how bad it is more than I've actually seen
I've
Troll.
never gone back and watched it as an adult. I watched it when I was a kid because I loved the original Troll.
Yeah.
Um, but no, yeah, the street trash film. Just to go back on your real quick, that whole first scene where the one guy drinks it on the toilet and he just melts into the
Mhm.
toilet is the slime one of the slimiest scenes in movie history, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's so many other movies I wanted to do, but they kind of fell under blood, guts, gore, and wet. I know
Right.
wet is a bad way to. No, wet's kind of all encompassing. It wasn't really slime. So street trash, and I have several honorable mentions.
Yeah.
James.
I'm going to go literary-ish, I guess. I did Theodore Sturgeon, but I think and I know y'all are more the experts on this particular author, but Gray Matter, Stephen King.
Yeah.
I think that's a great slime story. A great. If you're not familiar with Gray Matter, it's oh, what collection is that in?
Skeleton Crew or Night Shift?
I know it was originally published in Cavalier. It's a Night Shift. It's a Night Shift. Because it was originally published in 1973 in Cavalier magazine. Um, but it is about it's of course told by a narrator who's reflecting back on it happening, and there is a somebody that drinks a effectively tainted beer,
Yeah. And it's
which has
told from the perspective of his son.
yeah, it is his son. And but it's so I guess a mutagenic property has gotten into this
Mhm.
beer, and he more or less starts to become this amoebic, slimy creature, and they think he eats a cat, but then they start to think, oh, he's eating more than cats,
Mhm.
and then ultimately he's starting to divide. He's starting to reproduce, and that's kind of and it ends with his son thinking about how if he's reproducing, how quickly, given how quickly amoebas divide and spread, how quickly these slime creatures could become a major issue
Yeah.
because they're also really hard to kill.
Yep.
Not at all like them weasels in that Dreamcatcher.
Yeah. Them ones that done went and shit out. Shit weasels. All right. Are
Nobody
we re
says that as good as Morgan Freeman.
are we ready for honorable mentions? I have a ton.
Go for it. You can
Yep.
take all mine.
Yeah, go ahead and start, Joe, and I'll follow up.
Dude, okay, you could not make an 80s movie without a melting scene.
No,
You
I
could
yeah.
not make some sort of creature feature horror film science fiction thing
There
without something
isn't there
melting.
an actual movie called The Incredible Melting Man?
Yes,
Okay, that's what I
Rod
thought.
Steiger. But
Yeah, Rod Steiger. Yeah.
we'll get back to that in a second. I know. How did I pull that out of my ass? Actually, I was reading an article about it the other day. Chad, I am shocked you did not say Mario Brothers.
I had it on my a list that I lost. I
Also,
did.
I'm shocked you didn't say Toxic Avenger.
Yeah.
And seriously, it doesn't end there. Like there are so many Gremlins had a melting scene.
Yeah, but I don't really consider that slimy, but I
It's
guess you
green
can.
slime,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Demons. If you ever watched it's Bava, I think, but it's Demons and Demons 2. All the slime comes out of their mouths. You a lot of lists, if you look them up, have Cronenberg's The Fly.
Yeah, I mean there's some slime in there.
Oh
There's
shoot.
some slime.
I had The Fly and it was on that list that I lost. Shit.
Mighty Morphin, the Power Ranger movie from the 90s, I
Oh,
guess
Ivan Ooze.
Ivan
has
Ooze.
a ton of slime in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, The Matrix. The Watch has a really good. It's one of the good few scenes in the Watch movie with Ben Stiller. There's a slime scene in that, and actually, I'm going to give credit to just two more things. One, and then my actual last one. It is a slimy movie that was a huge hit. The actual 2016 Ghostbusters remake, to me, has the second best slime scene in any of the Ghostbusters films. It's when she just gets covered with that one
Covered it.
ghost and it
Yeah.
keeps going and going and it's funny and she is, oh my God, I can't, it's in crevices, I can't get out, yada yada yada. It's actually I mean, it's always going to be he slimed me. That's the
Yeah.
best slime scene in film history. But that being said, the second one is there. And my last one, and it's something I forgot about and accidentally found on a list. And I even watched all three of these movies with my kid over the last 2 months. But the first Men in Black is a really slimy movie.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, true.
And they're just covered in it at the end. I mean, Will Smith is
Yeah.
having to spit it out of his
Oh,
mouth.
yeah,
And it's
forgot
all the
about.
way through in different places. And it
I
didn't
can't
even
believe I forgot
occur to
about
me.
it. You know what else
Yep.
is slimy and I forgot about?
What?
Evolution.
Yep, it's
Yeah.
on my list. It's right here.
Hmm.
James,
All right.
any more audible bitches? I still have more, but I was going to
Oh,
leave it
dude,
alone.
I've got a ton. I'll go through two primary sources. And what I mean by that is, we have all sorts of different types of people that are interested in different types of things that talk about that listen to the show because we are pop culture, and there's one pop culture thing that has survived the test of time. People still play it today, and that's Magic the Gathering. There are oozes and slimes in every type, from earthen goo to primordial ooze, chaotic goo, blood hall ooze, and that's just, by the way, in the mountain mana. Vile bile, consumptive goo, mephitic ooze. There's 42 that I can name that have been
Really?
listed as being oozes just in that card game. I do want to again give some credit to some classic science fiction and horror authors. So if you heard Theodore Sturgeon already, um, and Stephen King, and you really like ooze novels and ooze short stories, Night of the Black Horror by Victor Norwood, Slimer by Harry Adam Knight, that came out in 1983, by the way, before a certain other Slimer did. Um, Parasite Planet from 1935 by Stanley G. Weinbaum. Slime by William Essex. The Thing Too Hideous to Describe by somebody that we've interviewed, David J. Scow.
Oh, really?
Yes, yeah. If you've not read the horror, or I'm sorry, The Thing Too Hideous to Describe, go check that one out. That's fun.
I need
Um,
to. I have his book of all of his Fango, Raving and Drooling, but I don't think and maybe another collection of short stories, but I don't have that.
and there's I also think we need to give credits because for those people that may be younger and you might not know how huge it was, if you're a little bit younger than us, though, you may have been huge fans of Goosebumps.
Yeah.
Man, Goosebumps had a bunch of slime short stories. Monster Blood and all of its sequels. Egg Monsters from Mars is about slimes. The Blob That Ate Everyone. The Horror of Camp Jelly Jam. And
Where's the end at, James?
the other one that I wanted to say is there's The Malignant Entity by Otis Albert Klein. And the final one I have to mention, Joe, just because it's the bomb, yo. Phantoms, the novel by Dean Koontz.
You know, I've never read the novel, and the
It
movie
is
sucks, but the
Lovecraftian.
movie is one of those guilty pleasure things, or for some odd reason I can sit and
They
watch it.
cut all the Lovecraft from the movie because it's a Lovecraftian novel. They call it the people just call it the evil entity, but
Hmm.
it's literally if you read Dean Koontz talking about it, he goes, yes, obviously it's these people encountering Lovecraft, but they've never read Lovecraft, so they don't know that it's. And he says which creature it is, but I don't.
Yeah,
Doesn't
yeah,
matter
yeah.
for the purpose. So if you read the novel, it is Lovecraft. And then when they made the movie, they went, "Oh, it's got all this Lovecraft in it. Well, let's just cut the hell out of that."
Yeah, I need to read it sometime. The only other one just because you said Phantoms, I feel like this is one we'll get shit about, so I'll just say it and then we can end. I get it. It was my third pick, and then I instead decided to do but Larry Cohen's The Stuff, not one of my favorite movies by Larry Cohen, but it technically is an ooze from the earth that everybody eats to lose weight and has side effects.
Yeah, yeah. So slime is everywhere.
Yeah, especially
You
in the
can,
80s.
but I would argue, obviously, we're doing remakes of them now.
Oh, yeah, it's true. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much. This has been Bonehead Weekly.
The slimiest podcast you'll ever watch.